Dear students, in this video we are going to discuss the processes of biotechnology. What are the different processes involved in biotechnology or the genetic engineering, especially the rDNA technology, the recombinant DNA technology. So the processes of recombinant DNA technology, recombinant DNA technology. It involves different steps. Different steps are involved in the process of rDNA technology or recombinant DNA technology. The first step is isolation of gene of interest, isolation of genetic material, that means the DNA. The second important step, cutting off isolated DNA, cutting off gene of interest or DNA by using REN, restriction endonucleases, at specific locations. Cutting off DNA by using REN at specific locations. The third step, amplification of DNA fragment, amplification of DNA fragment or gene of interest, amplification of DNA fragment, that means the gene of interest, by using PCR, polymerase chain reaction, by using a technique called PCR, polymerase chain reaction. In the fourth step, we have to insert the rDNA, that is insertion of rDNA, recombinant DNA, into a specific host cell, specific host cell or an organism. In the fifth step, obtaining the foreign gene product, obtaining the foreign gene product. So the foreign gene product is obtained by using bioreactor or fermenter. After the production of foreign gene product, we have to extract the foreign gene product and purify it by using a technique called downstream processing, an industrial process. So these are the 6 important steps involved in the processes of recombinant DNA technology, or rDNA technology. First, we have to isolate the gene of interest, the genetic material. In almost all organism, DNA is the genetic material. How to extract this specific part of DNA, So this DNA that is present in a bacterial cell, so it is surrounded by a plasma membrane. It is also surrounded by its cell wall made up of peptidoglycan. We have to break these two walls, the plasma membrane and cell wall, to isolate the DNA. There is no such a nuclear membrane. We have to use the enzyme to separate or to degrade the wall or maybe plasma membrane if it is a bacterial cell. If the target gene or gene of interest is present in a fungi. So you have to separate the cell wall made up of fungal cellulose, chitin as its wall material. It also consists of plasma membrane. The inner membrane is the plasma membrane. We can see a definite nucleus. A nuclear membrane is present. Within the nuclear membrane we can see the DNA. DNA is present within the nuclear membrane, but the nucleoid is the region in bacteria that consists of DNA. But in plant cell, we can see a cell wall material made up of cellulose. A cellulosic cell wall is present. Cellulosic cell wall. Cellulose is the wall material. Below this cellulosic cell wall, we can see one more membrane. The plasma membrane is present. Plasma membrane. We have to degrade or remove the cellulose. We have to remove the cell wall and also the plasma membrane to extract the DNA present in the nucleus. We can also remove the nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane is also present in fungi. Nuclear membrane. If we have to isolate the gene of interest in an animal cell just consists of the plasma membrane. Plasma membrane is present. We can see a nucleus. Nuclear membrane is also present. Within the nuclear membrane, we can see the DNA, the portion of DNA, the chromatin material. The DNA is present in this region. So, in almost all organisms, DNA is the genetic material. DNA is the genetic material. In this genetic material, we have to isolate a small fragment of DNA, the gene of interest. So this specific gene of interest or target gene or gene of interest, it is a foreign gene or alien gene, or it is also called the gene of interest or target gene. It produces a specific biochemical. We have to isolate this gene and introduce to a vector, then insert this rDNA into a host cell. By culturing the host cell, we have to produce the product produced by the gene of interest. Then we can extract the product from this or in a bioreactor. So in this process, we have to identify this foreign gene and isolate this gene in the DNA of different organisms. It may be a bacteria, a fungi, a plant, or maybe animal cell. A plant cell or maybe animal cell. So this one is the plant cell, and this is the animal cell. You can take the small portion of DNA. We have to isolate the DNA, the total DNA. During isolation, we have to degrade the cell wall made up of peptidoglycan as the wall material in a bacteria. Also degrade the plasma membrane. In fungi, it is the fungal cellulose, chitin. We can see the plasma membrane. Along with, we can also see nuclear membrane. In plant cell, the cell wall made up of cellulose and the plasma membrane is present, nuclear membrane is present, and also in animal cell, there is no cell wall. You can see just a cell membrane, the plasma membrane, only the plasma membrane, and the nuclear membrane. But inside the nucleus, we can see the chromatin network. This chromatin network is also bound by the protein, the histone protein. The DNA is wrapped to this histone octamer that forms the nucleosome. A nucleoprotein and also the histone, the basic protein is present. Histone, basic protein. We have to degrade or destroy all this wall material and also the protein and RNA to extract the DNA, to isolate the genetic material. So you have to use different enzymes. The lysozyme lysozyme. So it is a lytic enzyme. Lysozyme is a lytic enzyme that lies the cell wall of bacterial cell, that is the peptidoglycan. You have to use the lysozyme to degrade the peptidoglycan. A proteases to degrade the protein part of plasma membrane, and also lipases to degrade the lipid part. You know, the plasma membrane is made up of phospholipid and proteins. You have to degrade the protein and also lipids from this plasma membrane by using proteases and also lipases that degrade the plasma membrane. And then we can isolate the DNA. When we are isolating the DNA contains the histone and also nucleoprotein. At that time you have to use the ribonucleases. The ribonucleases degrade RNA present in the nucleus, and the histone protein, that the histone protein is destroyed by using proteases. By using all these enzymes, you have to degrade the cell wall material by using lysozyme that degrade the peptidoglycan present in the cell wall of bacteria. The plasma membrane degraded by using the proteases and lipases, and also the histone, the protein and also by using the ribonucleases that degrade or that destroys the RNA. And by using proteases, we can remove almost all proteins or degrade the protein that is present in the cytoplasm. So then we can extract this DNA. If it is a fungus, to destroy or to remove the chitin as a wall material, we have to use the chitinase, an enzyme called chitinase. By using this chitinase that destroys, that removes the cell wall, the same proteases and peptones destroys the plasma membrane. Nucleus, the same proteases and lipid that removes the nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane is also having the same component, the phospholipid and protein, as the same structure as you have studied the fluid mosaic model of plasma membrane in the previous year. The fluid mosaic model that consists of two layers, a bilayer of lipid and also a globular protein. The globular proteins are differentially arranged in different parts of plasma membrane. We can see the phospholipid and protein. That is the structure present in the plasma membrane as well as nuclear membrane. By using proteases and lipases, we have to destroy or to break the lipid and also protein present in the nuclear membrane. After removal of these, the DNA portion is extracted by using the proteases and also ribonucleases that totally degrade the ribonuclease, the RNA present in this nuclear region, and also the protein that breaks the histone. Proteases breaks the histone. In the same way, by using cellulose as the wall material in plant cell, we can use the cellulase enzyme. Cellulase is the enzyme. By using cellulase enzyme, we can remove or degrade, totally destroys this wall material, the cellulose that breaks the cellulose component of the cell wall in plant cell. After removing the cell wall, by using the lipid and proteases, you have to remove the membrane and also the plasma membrane, as well as the nuclear membrane by using the same proteases and lipases. And also the RNA is removed by ribonucleases, and proteins, histone proteins, are removed by using proteases. In the same way, there is no such cell wall in animal cell. Very easy to break the nuclear membrane by using proteases and lipases, and also it is very easy to break the plasma membrane by using the same enzyme. Then we have to use the proteases to break the histone present in the DNA, and also ribonucleases to break the RNA. After degrading all such macromolecules present in the cell, we have to extract this DNA. So the solution so obtained, so the DNA, we have to add the chilled ethanol to this extracted DNA. The chilled ethanol, by using chilled ethanol, the DNA gets precipitated, it forms threads, it suspends like a small thread, and we can collect these DNA threads which gets precipitated after adding the chilled ethanol. That process is called spooling. Yes. Okay. Now, the DNA present in different target cell, a donor cell is collected. You have to cut the DNA fragment. That is the cutting, the second step, cutting of DNA by using REN. Cutting of DNA by using restriction endonucleases. So this DNA is cut and cleaved out to form a number of fragments of different length, the smaller or larger size. The REN, restriction endonucleases, in the second video we were discussed about the gel electrophoresis technique. By using the gel electrophoresis technique, the small fragmented DNA, the DNA fragment of different length, DNA fragments of different length, it is made to pass through a matrix made from agarose gel, a natural polymer extracted from seaweed. So you have to pour in the cavity present in this agarose gel, the matrix, the DNA fragmented containing a bath into the well. It is kept in an electric field. An electrode is introduced, negatively and positively charged electrode. The DNA fragments are negatively charged molecules that is made to pass through. Smaller fragment moves faster than the larger fragments, and also with the affinity with the electrode, the negatively charged DNA fragment move very fast than the other fragments, the larger fragments, towards the anode. And totally all such DNA fragments are separated by using a technique called gel electrophoresis, the cutting of DNA by using REN at specific region. The RNA identifies specific palindromes, the repeated sequence, and it cut at restriction site the repeated sequence, GAATTC, the repeated sequence, or any other repeated sequence. It identifies and cut into smaller fragment. When it is passed through the gel sheet kept in an electric field, so it passes through the gel sheet based on the affinity and also its size. It gets separated into number of fragments. This separated fragment is cut and separated from the gel sheet by using a technique called elution. We can also visualize these bands, the orange color bands, so formed by using a chemical called ethidium bromide. So it must be stained with ethidium bromide and visualized under UV radiation. We can observe the different bands of DNA in an orange color. So after elution process, a single fragment of DNA or the target gene or foreign gene is not enough, because in this process we have to use million and billion copies of this target gene. It is required, not a single. We have to produce the rDNA in a million or billion copies at a time. because as one or two bacteria so introduced may be destroyed during the process or during the experiment. So in the process of experiment, laboratory experiment, we have to culture the host or maybe transformed bacteria in million copies, So we have to amplify this separated gene, that is the third step, amplification of DNA fragmentation by using PCR, polymerase chain reaction. How to produce the amplified copies? So this is the gene of interest, so separated, the gene of interest or the target gene. You have to produce billion copies of this target gene, billion copies of this foreign or gene of interest. How to produce the billion copies of this target gene? By using PCR technique, polymerase chain reaction. That process is called amplification. In this video, we have to discuss in detail the amplification of DNA fragments, and also we have to discuss the bioreactor in detail. This video mainly focuses on gene amplification and also bioreactor. Okay, so how to amplify the gene? A PCR is a machine in which we have to add the nucleotides and RNA primers and synthetic oligonucleotide sequences and attack polymer extracted from few bacteria that is growing in hot water springs and also a deep hydrothermal vents. So gene amplification of gene, or DNA, amplification of DNA by using PCR, polymerase chain reaction. In this polymerase chain reaction, a machine, we can adjust a different temperature. So in this, we have to take a DNA fragment. So in this DNA fragment, the region to be amplified, so it is in 5'3" direction, 5' 3'5". So you can see the opposite strand with 5'3" polarity, 3'5" polarity. So this region is to be amplified. We have to amplify this region, this portion of DNA, the portion of DNA. So this portion is to be amplified. How to amplify this DNA? It consists of three important steps. The first step is denaturation. The second step, annealing. In the third step, we can see the process of extension. So it involves mainly three steps. The polymerase chain reaction or amplification of DNA involves three important steps. The first one is denaturation, the second one annealing, and the third one is extension. Okay, this is the region to be amplified. Region to be amplified. So I have to take this DNA in the PCR machine and adjust the temperature of about 90 to 95 degrees Celsius. In this adjustment of temperature, it breaks the weak bond between the two polynucleotides. A weak bond is present, the hydrogen bond. Just to warm it in a heat of about 95 degrees Celsius, it breaks the hydrogen bond between the two strands. The two strands gets open. The two strands of DNA gets open because of the denaturation. Denaturation that breaks the hydrogen bond, a weak bond between the two polynucleotide strands gets broken down. The two strands get separated. So you can see the separation of two strands, one run in 5-3 direction and another 3-5 direction, 3-5 direction, the direction of linkage. In this, the denaturation is completed. We are broken down this double-stranded DNA into single-stranded DNA. It is made into single-stranded DNA first of all. In this PCR machine, we have to introduce the primer, the RNA primer. So this RNA primer which run in opposite direction, 5-3 direction by 5-3 linkage, a small fragment of RNA, it is the primer. So that is the annealing of primer. This PCR machine, we have to introduce the oligonucleotides, that is the primer, oligonucleotides, nearly about 2 to 10 nucleotide that join to form a small fragment of RNA primer. So first of all, before sequencing the nucleotide of DNA, we have to add the RNA primer. This RNA primer that forms a small annealing in 5-3 direction. This is the oligonucleotide, that is the RNA primer. So this RNA primer is formed, that starts the formation of new strand. So that process is called annealing. After annealing, in the same PCR machine, we have to add the DNA polymerase enzyme, and deoxynucleotides. This DNA polymerase is a TAC polymerase, TAQ, TAC polymerase, that means thermostable polymerase enzyme. TAC means Thermus aquaticus. So it is extracted from some thermostable bacteria. Some bacteria withstand the hot climate, the ecosystem that grow in hot water spring or deep hydrothermal vent. We have to extract the DNA polymerase enzyme from this thermostable bacteria. Such polymerase enzyme is called TAC polymerase. And deoxyribonucleotides are added. So as you know, the temperature must be adjusted at 95 degrees Celsius for denaturation. For annealing process, it should be decreased to 50 to 55 or maybe 50 to 60 degrees Celsius. So usually 55 degrees Celsius. The annealing that promotes the annealing process, that is the attachment of RNA primer, a synthetic oligonucleotide that forms a bond with the nucleotide sequence of single-stranded DNA. So after that, in the extension process, the TAC polymerase, the DNA polymerase that forms a new bond. This TAC polymerase that continues the nucleotide sequences in two strands of DNA. As you know, it runs in 5-3 direction. So we can see the 5-3 linkage. The RNA primer is added here. RNA primer. So the RNA primer in 5-3 direction. Here also you can see 5-3 linkage. By using this deoxyribonucleotide, the TAC polymerase joins new nucleotide at the free OH group of RNA primer. It adds and forms a phosphodiester bond. It takes the complementary deoxyribonucleotide. If adenine is present, thymine comes. If guanine is present, cytosine comes. Totally it forms a new strand of DNA. DNA. It brings new and new nucleotides and it forms the polymerization of nucleotide, and that completes the double-stranded DNA. And in this also we can see the formation of new nucleotide strand by Taq polymerase. It takes new and new deoxyribonucleotides and that joins the complementary nucleotides join, and the gap is sealed by using phosphodiester bond. Two such new strands are formed. That is the extension process. In this extension process, the temperature should be maintained at 75 degrees Celsius. 70 to 75 degrees Celsius must be maintained for extension process that produces the copies of DNA. A single DNA, the region to be amplified, the gene of interest gets amplified, gets doubled into two fragments. So you can see the two copies of DNA. A single copy is converted into two copy. If the process is repeated about 30 to 40 cycles, it produces nearly about 1 billion copies of the DNA. If you repeat the same process about 30 cycles, the so formed doubled DNA fragments again multiply 2 into 4, 4 into 4, 16 into 16. In the same way, it doubles. Within 30 cycles, it produces nearly 1 billion copies of DNA. So this is the target gene, a region to be amplified. This target gene so formed should be introduced into a plasmid vector. It should be introduced into plasmid vector. So that is the production of rDNA. We have to use the same technique to amplify the plasmid and also the gene of interest. After the amplification, we have to introduce this fragment of foreign gene into a plasmid. So the plasmid is cut by using the same technique. The same REN is used to cut and cleave open a small fragment of plasmid. In the place so created, the DNA is ligated by using DNA ligase enzyme. Such recombined DNA which contain the DNA of the plasmid vector and the gene of interest or target gene. Such a recombined DNA is called rDNA. So this rDNA so produced is introduced into a host. So that is the fourth step, introduction or insertion of rDNA into host. We were discussed in the last video, insertion of rDNA into host. So first we can make the recipient cell competent to receive the rDNA, recombinant DNA. Then it absorbs the extraneous DNA and incorporates to. We are using different techniques like heat shock treatment and micro-injection method, biolistics method, and using disarmed pathogen. Introduce this rDNA into host. So by using the divalent cation, calcium, at heat shock treatment. If it is an animal cell, we have to use the micro-injection method. In plant cell, the plant cell is bombarded with high velocity particles of gold or tungsten coated with the DNA. So that is the gene gun method. In animal cell and also in human beings, we have to use the disarmed pathogen, usually retroviruses. And in sometimes the plant cells, we have to use the Ti plasmid, which deliver the tDNA. So, okay, after the formation of this transformed cell, we have to introduce this transformed cell into a bioreactor. Before introducing into bioreactor, we have to culture this transformed cell in the laboratory by using ampicillin because the ampicillin resistant gene is present in this plasmid. After introduction to the host cell, a bacterial cell or any other host cell, the cell get resistant to ampicillin. It is resistant to ampicillin. We have to plate these bacteria in a nutrient media which contain ampicillin. Only the recombinant will grow. So the ampicillin that kills the non-recombinant. The non-recombinant does not have any rDNA, does not have any ampicillin resistant gene. So all such non-recombinant which does not have the rDNA bacteria destroyed by this ampicillin. So we have to select the recombinant and separate it from non-recombinants. Such a recombinant transformed bacteria is cultured in a culture plate in the laboratory. After culturing of this in sufficiently large quantity, we have to put into a bioreactor. So to discuss about the bioreactor or fermenter. The rDNA containing host cell, that is the transformants so formed is plated in a culture media in the laboratory. You have to grow these transformants in a large quantity, but it is not sufficient. Our intention is to obtaining the foreign gene product. We are inserted the foreign gene into the plasmid gene. The plasmid gene contains the foreign gene. It forms the rDNA, the recombinant DNA. It produces a product. It may be an alkaloid, an enzyme, or any biochemical. So we have to extract the product produced by this foreign gene or gene of interest in a large quantity. The product so produced, when it codes for a protein, we have to extract that protein, that product. So that is the obtaining the foreign gene product. So this rDNA containing host cell, that should be cultured in the laboratory, and we have to culture this bacteria, the transformed bacteria, in a large scale. We need a large fermentation tank. This fermentation tank is called bioreactor. It is called the bioreactor. We can see different types of industrially designed bioreactor. A commonly used bioreactor is a simple stirred tank bioreactor. Also, sparged stirred tank bioreactor is used in some industries. In this simple stirred tank bioreactor, we can large vessel that is having the space to add the nutrient media. It contains all the gazettes to favor the growth of microbes. When we are adding this transformed bacteria into this nutrient media, it is fitted with a flat bedded impeller that rotates the nutrient media along with the bacteria. So that favors the growth of transformed bacteria. It is fitted with a motor. So the motor rotates this flat bladed impeller that mix the bacteria with this nutrient media. A proper aeration, the sterile air is introduced. The air, by utilizing the oxygen, the microbes, the transformed microbes divides and produces large copies, its clones. Large number of bacteria were produced, and when it is stirring, it produces a large number of foams. There we can see a foam breaker that breaks the foam. It is also having a gazette to maintain a proper pH control, acid base pH control, a steam for sterilization, because there may be entry of some other microorganisms. So to avoid the growth of those unwanted microbes, a steam is introduced for sterilization, and also it also contains different vitamins, enzymes. It also contains different vitamins and all nutrient which maintains the growth of bacteria. So this large vessel, the bioreactor, so that accommodate the growth of bacteria, having a food, the nutrient and a proper pH, so it optimizes the condition which favors the growth of microbes. So in this sparged stirred tank bioreactor, we can see a sparge to introduce the air bubble. When the sparge, so this sparge introduce the air bubble, it is also having a stirrer to rotate the nutrient media that mix with the bacteria. The food is available, but here the bubble so formed that increases the surface area to make such a favorable condition for bacteria to absorb the oxygen. So that increases the surface area of absorption for oxygen transfer. So that favors in such a way. So the sparged stirred tank bioreactor is used. Only the difference is the sparge that sparges the air bubble into the nutrient media. So this after the growth, sufficient growth of these bacteria, transformed bacteria, it contains trillions of copies. Then an inducer is added to induce the bacteria to produce the foreign gene product. So after the production of this gene product, a protein, an enzyme, it should be extracted and purified. So the last step, so the sixth step, the extraction and purification of the desired product or foreign gene product. So this is by downstream processing. The downstream processing extract the gene product, the foreign gene product, and utilizes and also purifies the product so produced. So it is an industrial method. Different industries are designed in their own way the downstream processing. So almost all product should be taken out from the bioreactor, from the outlet. It contains the bacteria, the nutrient media, the dead cells, and also the gene product. So you have to purify this bacterial product or the gene product by removing all such debris, nutrients, and also the cells, the transformed cells. So is there any impurities that must be purified? The biochemical so produced must be purified by using this downstream process. Then a proper check of this product so produced that is released to the market. So this is the brief outline of the processes of rDNA technology, or recombinant DNA technology. Thank you.